Good evening, Oceania. Good afternoon, Asia, and good morning, Europe. Welcome to the Asia Connect webinar series. This is the second round of webinar series, and today's topic is environment. My name is Eun Jin Ha, MC today. The webinar series is initiated by Asia Connect project, which is co-funded by the European Union and 24 Asia Connect partners' contributions. Today's program consists of two sessions. We'll get information about the project and topic of environment, and the second session will be followed by the panel discussion. Please leave your questions or messages on the chatting below, and the speakers will answer in the panel discussion sessions. Before we start the program, I would like to invite Mr. Luis Hyunho Choi, the Executive Officer of Tensar CC and the Project Manager of Asia Connect Project. Mr. Luis Hyunho Choi, the floor is yours.
Thank you for inviting me. Hello, everyone. I hope you are well from the pandemic, still dangerous now. And so we have to more protection from them. So my name is Luis Hyunho Choi, Executive Officer in Tensar CC and Asia Connect Project Manager. And so first of all, I'd like to send warm greetings to all participants. Today's our webinar seminar is a very highlights for make our successful project too. And so today, this is the second webinar since last year. We have had already so successful the first webinar series in the last year. And today's topic is the environment. So we already know that environment is very important. So today's environmental issues, I think that is very important. All over the world, we are facing many difficulties and crises, such as climate changes due to global warming. Is very, very careful. And so, for example, volcanoes, earthquakes, and large wildfires too, and abnormal temperature. We cannot measure, we cannot predict. Every day is a very dangerous situation. We well know that. And so this is a real fact in presence. And so they are a great danger to human survival. I think that. In my experience, international standard organizations just make the standard for protecting and for preventioning or standard is a very difficult and very dangerous because it's these days a disaster from natural disaster is a very unpredictable fact. We cannot perfectly measure them too. And so it's a very, very important issue for the environment. I think that. So in our Asia Connect project field, so accordingly, many research activities related to the environmental are being conducted in Asia Connect project. And so especially today's webinar program is that we already have prepared for three speakers and three topics from Asia Connect call for proposal activity 2 is a very, I think that is very meaningful and very helpful to forecasting for our future research activities too. And so today's meeting then, you can see some of the content through our webinar meeting. And so I hope it will be a helpful place for your research activities. In addition, so we ask for your interest and the collaboration and cooperation in future research activities too. Thank you very much. And so I warmly appreciate for your participation to our webinar meeting. And so I hope you enjoy today's webinar. And so especially we invited for our special speaker, so Dr. Francis Lee from Singapore. He's our advisory board chair in TNSTAR-CC, and so steering committee member. Also, he is contributing many help to our Asia Connect project. And so, Dr. Francis Lee, I over to your speak. Thank you.
Thanks, Louis.
Yeah.
For introduction. I'd like to say good evening to people from New Zealand, and we have people all the way from South Asia, and maybe one or two people from Europe who are just waking up. So we stretch a big time span down here. We used to meet together at APAN meeting and have these sharing sessions about projects during the APAN session. But because of COVID, we could not do that in person anymore. And we felt that we have to organize ourselves and adapt ourselves. And I think this webinar organized by TNSTAR-CC and its staff is amazing. I think that's the way we should reach out to the general public and the community as a whole. TNSTAR-CC has been working very, very hard. It has already completed 88 grant projects, and there are a lot more coming. They are still in the works, still haven't completed yet. And there'll be more grant calls coming out as well. And that's to help the community as a whole. Grant calls are not just only for network research, but there are scientific research. As you can see here, today you're going to hear about 3 projects that looks in the environment, from the mangrove swamp to air pollution to sound. That's amazing. So I hope when we move back to post-COVID, we will still continue on with this webinar, because I think its reach is greater. On top of having the in-person, I think the in-person is amazing. There's a different level to it. But I think to reach out, I think the webinar is amazing way of sharing with the greater community as a whole. And I welcome all of you, and I hope you'll participate actively in other activities that TNSTAR-CC staff have worked so hard for you all to work together. That's back to you, Eugene.
Thank you, Professor Francis Lee and Mr. Louis Hyun Choi for great opening remarks. Now let's open the first session. I'd like to invite Mr. Douglas Hare, the session moderator of Asia Connect webinar series. He was the former deputy chair of Asia Connect Steering Committee and the governor of New Zealand. Now he is dedicating for the webinar series as a member of the TANE community. Mr. Douglas, the floor is yours.
Okay, thank you very much, and nice to see lots of familiar faces here, and thank you for those words from Louis and from Francis. As has been mentioned, this is the second in our session. The last one was in early December on the subject of education, and we had a very interesting topic there. And as Louis has said, environment obviously is a very large component of work that's being undertaken in the Asia Pacific area. So today we have 3 quite different speakers in terms of their topics, but they're all obviously about the environment, and they have interesting use of technology behind them. So the format, as Unjin has lined out, is we will have about 25 minutes for each speaker. And then at the end, we will have a similar length of time for a panel discussion. So I'm looking forward to getting your questions. So if you can put them into the chat. I've got some other questions here already that I've put together, but I'm certainly looking forward to getting questions from you. So without further ado, the first speaker, Associate Professor Dr. Natra Iksan from the University Putri, Malaysia. She is going to be talking on the subject of mangroves and IoT in mangroves, which is a very interesting topic in itself. Her project had a wide range of people from across the Asia-Pacific area. And so without any further ado, I'm going to hand over to Dr. Natra. And so, Dr. Natra, the floor is yours.
Okay. Can you see my slides? Wait, okay. Can you see my slides? Can you all see my slides?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Right. Hello, good day, everyone. First of all, I would like to thank Tian, Cici for inviting me to be one of the speakers for the session today. So I'm here to basically represent all my project collaborators of our project known as META, or Info Sustainable Aquatic Resource Management in Mangrove Ecosystem via Internet of Things application. All right, so there are a lot of people who are involved in this project coming from 8 different countries, not only from my country, Malaysia. We also have collaborators from Belgium, Bangladesh, Philippines, China, Thailand, Australia, and New Zealand. And they are all from different universities where 7 international universities are involved. And in Malaysia itself, we have my university and 3 other universities. Okay, other than universities, we also have institutes who are involved. We have Institute of Bioscience, International Institute of Aquaculture and Aquatic Sciences, and also centers who are basically responsible for teaching and learning. Okay, little bit of background about this project. Actually, this project, we actually envision to inspire, innovation through the use of technology and active engagement towards the sustainability of mangrove. That is why in this project, we basically, our aim is provide awareness on the importance of mangrove and how does technology somehow can be used to monitor the ecosystem. Okay, that's why in this project also our mission is to connect and empower the global community, not only in Malaysia, in our collaborating partners countries, but also other countries, so that all of us would aware on the importance of this mangrove and also its ecosystem in general. Okay, why mangrove? I think all of us know that mangrove is actually, in its ecosystem itself, it has a large number of species that are responsible for, for the global fisheries in general. In mangrove itself, it provides an area for nesting and breeding habitat of fish, shellfish. There are a lot of birds also in mangrove, and it is also known that 80% of the global fish in mangrove area, it depends on the mangrove itself. Okay. Other than that, mangrove also act as an important, they have this equatoristic criteria, and it's also important for the livelihood of the community itself there. And mangrove are actually the first coastal defense when when there is a extreme weather in terms of flash flood, tsunami, storm surge. Okay, and at the same time, it also maintains water quality. Basically, the water quality in mangrove areas is cleaner compared to the other ecosystem. Other than that, mangrove also it stores carbons. Okay, sequester carbons. Even up to two to 4 times more than greater than our mature tropical forests. Okay, so this is how mangroves are very important for us. Okay, that is why we are all, you know, we all some collaborated together, you know, with this aim to show the world how important mangrove is and how can technology be involved. And for this purpose, we have somehow selected one research site, which is at the west of the Peninsula Malaysia. And the site is known as the Kampung Sijangkang Recreational Park Centre, situated in Selangor, which is West Peninsula Malaysia. Okay, why Sijangkang? Okay, a little bit of history of this, Sijangkang village is actually, you know, the mangrove part itself is actually before this it is a landfill. You know, that somehow the community there built from scratch, transforming it to the landfill area to a beautiful mangrove educational park. Okay. And I have been told by the community there, you know, before the COVID pandemic, they received at least 10 different programs. You know, people from all through Malaysia, throughout Malaysia, who wanted to do programs there. Okay, at least 10 different programs in a month. You know, just showing that how important this site to the people here. And then the community there also built from scratch, you know, from out of the donation from the people, the mangrove boardwalk. So if I would like to invite all of you here, if you have time, come to Malaysia and give this village a visit. So there you can see, you know, a boardwalk pathway which is around 800 meters. You know, from the beginning until to the shoreline of the sea. All right. Other than that, you know, through this project also we have noticed that there are a lot of biodiversity there that still need to be highlighted, which I would elaborate later after this. Okay, so here in this project, we basically focus on a few different aspects. The first one is on the biodiversity aspect, which consists of the mangrove itself, the aquatic biodiversity, and also on how does this biodiversity and mangrove somehow impact the water quality. Okay. And the second aspect is on the Internet of Things. That is why in the Sijangkang, the Sijangkang village itself, you know, with the help of the fund of TNCC, we have installed quite a number of sensors and also Internet of Things system. Okay, the gateway and you know, all this cloud to basically monitor all the important parameters to measure the mangrove growth and also the biodiversity, especially the aquatic biodiversity there. Okay. Okay. Other than that, we also have colleagues from the engineering department. Okay, you know, who is using robotics. You know, who provide robotic insight in terms of, you know, doing some aerial mapping of the area and also, you know, using drone in monitoring mangrove area. So through all of this project, we hope that somehow we can not only educate ourselves, okay, we also hope that educate the youth, the importance of mangrove and also the technology that are involved. All right. So this project actually started around you know, early 2019, where this is unfortunately this is when the pandemic, the COVID pandemic happens, but somehow we survive. Okay, and these are among the activities, you know, outline of activities that have been conducted from March 2019 until last year. Okay, December 2021. Okay. So you can see here we have different talks, okay, mostly in a webinar form. We promote our activities where we somehow develop you know, a specific website just on this Meta project, And in this website, we are having also online courses that that people can access. Okay, and this website is also linked with the Myran in Malaysia. Okay. Right. And other than that, we also have symposium, sensor installation, when there's no restriction in terms of movement, and webinars, and also we also have challenge, what we call as hackathon, for students, university students, to somehow provide solution for mangrove problems. So we started this project with a number of collaborators with different background. Most of the people who are involved in this project are the mangrove experts. I myself, I'm not a mangrove expert. I'm a microbiologist in training. So I've this opportunity to somehow mingle with all these mangrove experts. And with their help, they contributed a lot under this project. So other than the mangrove expert, we also have the help from the engineers who are the expert of all the sensors, relating to Internet of Things and also robotics. Okay, and with all of these members, we have a very strong team for this META project. So we kick-started with a symposium, okay, which we somehow co-organize it with one of our collaborators, Erickson, and this is in UPM. So under this symposium, this is somehow we start to brainstorm more about this project, okay. So we received quite a number of people, and at this time, there's still no restriction, so we are available to do it face-to-face. Then after that, we started with this STEM or IoT module development, where we actually target, secondary student and also the university student to be involved. Okay, and we successfully installed also our IoT tower in this Sijangkang village. Okay, so here we started first with the aerometer sensor, the water level sensor, and also temperature and humidity sensor. And we developed a special dashboard. So, through this dashboard, you can monitor real time all the important sensors that are important for the growth of mangrove and also for the biodiversity. Okay, so you can just by going to our website, okay, which I will share later, you can see real time what is the temperature there in that village, the air pressure, the water level. Okay. And under this project also, we are able to monitor different mangrove species that are there, and we found that there is at least 9 species of mangrove there with 4 different families. Fortunately, we are also able to do some, a little bit of sampling, okay, where we notice that there are quite a number of species in terms of, the aquatic ones, from fish, crustacean. Okay, we also have a different crabs here, okay, in the village, okay, that are associated with the mangrove, and also mollusks and a lot more. Okay, so through this knowledge, we share the knowledge, through webinars and also symposium. And among the webinars and symposium that we have conducted is with one of the mangrove experts, Prof. Farid, and also all the experts, from the IoT part, we have Prof. Adwati and also Prof. Atif on the robotics part. And not to forget, we are also looking at how does mangrove contribute to the community on the socio-economic aspects, where we have there Dr. Evelyn as the leaders. Okay, and then these are among the activities that we have we have conducted from online courses where around 50 university students all around the world participated. And then we also somehow, not to forget, we also did some program with secondary school student, okay, where there are around 100 secondary students who are involved. Other than that, with collaboration of Malaysian Nature Society and also Ministry of Education Malaysia, we conducted a mangrove education program, which is not only open for all university students in Malaysia. Okay, we also open this mangrove education program to all collaborative partners, and we receive more than 500 participants for this program itself. Under this program, we conducted 4 different webinar series where all the students learn, mangrove, okay, in general, its importance, its community, what are the biodiversity in the mangrove ecosystem, and how IoT and robots are being used or can be used for conservation of mangrove. Other than that, we also have this International Meta IoT Challenge that targeted for university students, secondary school from Malaysia and also collaborative partners. We receive around more than 200 participants who came up with different use cases, different solutions on how to solve the mangrove problems. And so far, through our records, we have participants from 8 different countries, from Malaysia, China, Bangladesh, Belgium, Thailand, Philippines, New Zealand, Pakistan, Iraq, Saudi Arabia, United States, United Kingdom, Libya, and Ethiopia. Under this challenge also, we have different speakers who are all collaborators of this Meta project, who somehow guide all these participants on ideas, on also how to develop, how to at least use IoT or robots to solve the mangrove problem. So under this project, we have winners who came out with different useful solutions that, if possible, if there is any industry or private sectors who would like to invest, we have all these solutions that are now waiting for investors to invest on them. Okay. And we will share all of the info in our website, okay, from the winners, and all the recordings are actually in the website and also in our YouTube channels, okay. And we also have conducted workshop, in basically trying to come up with a good online course, okay, which are all will be available in our Meta website. So this is our website. You can just Google it, okay, type Meta Mangrove, and you can find the website, you can just find it, and from there you can learn more about our project, okay, our collaborators, what we have been doing so far, okay, and also do support us, also continue to support the community there, because I think they have done a very good job there, and I think this is just the beginning. This where I noticed there are still a lot of things that we need to somehow explore together. Okay, especially in the mangrove conservation, and also how we can use technology to conserve our precious mangrove. Other than that, we are also active in the YouTube channel where we share all the recordings, all the talks, winners, or all the information regarding our Meta project. We're also active in Instagram, okay. And the community in Sijangkang itself, they have the Facebook page. So please do like their Facebook. Okay, I just would like to end my presentation by thanking all the collaborators who are involved under this project. I'm basically indebted to all of them, still working so hard, although we have, a very difficult time during, especially during this COVID pandemic, but all are still very, very supportive and very, how to say, passionate about this project. And special thanks also to all the research assistant, coordinators who have been very pivotal, for this project. So if you want to know more, okay, you can always contact me, okay, or you can also visit our website meta.org.my, okay. And if you have any question, you can always ask, and I'm always ready to answer. Thank you.
Very good. Well, thank you. That was a very fast. You even finished 2 minutes early, so very good. And it's wonderful to see the range of activities that you had in that in your project. I was particularly interested in the use of TikTok and using robots. So I've got some questions. Hopefully we will come back to that a bit later on. So thank you very much. That was a very interesting presentation. So now I'd like to introduce Dr. Naveed Arshad from the Lahore University of Management Sciences. He is the director of the National Center on Big Data and Cloud Computing at that institution. He's got a PhD in computer science from the University of Colorado at Boulder. And Dr. Arshad is going to be talking about, in particular, air pollution, which is a great problem, not only in Asia, but also the rest of the world. So I'm very much looking forward to hearing his talk. So Dr. Arshad, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Douglas. Can you see my screen?
Yes, we'll see your screen.
So greetings, everyone, and from all people joining from different corners of the world to this webinar. So I'll be talking about a project that is actually an in-progress project on air quality monitoring. And our partners in this project are my co-PI, Dr. Jahangir Ikram. Both of us are from the Lahore University of Management Sciences. And then we have collaborators from Malaysia, Dr. Lin Tekchow, who is from University of Malaya. And we have the Pakistan Education and Research Network, as well as the Ministry of Climate Change. And we are really thankful to the funding that is given to us by Asia Connect, the DNCC, and the European Union for sponsoring this project, because I believe that this can change the way we look at air quality data and the interventions that follow from there. So let me start by giving you a perspective. We know that air quality is deteriorating. First of all, I think at least when I started, I didn't know the difference between climate change and air quality, because I'm a computer science person by training. So after knowing that, okay, these are two different concepts, climate change is a really global long-term phenomena, while air quality is a more local phenomena. There is a link, but that link is somehow is smaller than we expect. So air quality is more like a local or cross-border phenomena in a particular region. So at least in our part of the world where I live, and there are, you can say, countries like Pakistan, India, Afghanistan, Bangladesh, Nepal, all of them are facing tremendous issue in terms of air quality. This whole region is now the most polluted region in terms of air quality in the world. And the reason for that is that, first of all, there is a lot of population here. So modes of transportation are increasing because of that. And then we are covered by the Himalayas and the Karakoram, the large mountain ranges, which means that once the air goes in that particular region, it gets trapped. Now, we see air quality issues all throughout the year, but there is a certain time when they are aggravated. And that time is the start of the winters, which is around in November season, and then goes on to around end of February. And now this season has its own name, that's called the smog season, because that's the air quality is so bad. and the visibility is so low that you can just see it. I mean, air quality in general, even if it is bad, you cannot see by a naked eye. But with the smog season, this phenomena has aggravated. And the problem is that whatever you do, this is a cross-boundary phenomena, and one country, one region, one person cannot do anything about it. So the good thing is that at least there is awareness that is going on in this particular region, that this is a problem that we all have to solve together. And there has been activities that are going on, at least across border in India and in Pakistan, that are trying to mitigate at least this phenomena. But in order to mitigate it, first of all, you have to measure it. And the measurement is tricky, because if you measure too much, then there's the bad name for the government that they are not doing enough to measure it. So most of the countries try to shy away from a lot of measurement. And I'll tell you that what is the situation in Pakistan, but that shy away is due to the reason that they do not want to face the challenge of then answering the public, going to the voters. And I think this the community-based mobile monitoring has actually played a role in sensitizing the general public and ultimately the government. This has worked in China, this has worked in other countries where civil society has actually provided the data, which then created awareness not only in public, but also in the government, and then something started to happen. So with this project, we thought that this will give us a tool to measure air quality, and also to give it to the general public and to the decision makers so that they can do something. I'll just show you some images from Lahore back in November and December. The real, I mean, you can really see the air. And this has not been, this is a real new phenomena for the last 5 years. The Lahore is one of the most, you can say, lively city of Pakistan. It's known as a city of gardens. But unfortunately, in the last decade or so, the air quality has deteriorated to a point that, although it's a city of gardens, but with a lot of air pollution on top. And then it has health implications. It has implication in terms of productivity. So we have gathered a lot of data on it. I'm not going to go through it, but sufficient to say that lots of deaths, lots of pulmonary diseases are attributed to all this. And there's something which is now coming out, that this is not just a phenomenon that impacts health, but productivity and the mood of the human beings, the kind of behavior that they do, all is linked to air quality. Now, let me start by giving you an overview of what is the situation of air quality monitoring in Pakistan. So Pakistan is a decent sized country. We have a population of about 220 million. And the main issue of air quality is in the area of, you can say, the northeast Pakistan, which is the Punjab province that has borders with India. Now, with this area, which is about 500,000 square kilometer, sorry, the area of Punjab is 205,000 square kilometer. There are really not too many air quality sensing meters. And when I say air quality sensing, I'm talking about reference grade ones, which are typically the more expensive ones, and they are then used for calibration for other low cost, you can say. So in total, if I say that we have maybe 6 or so monitoring station for the whole Pakistan, in Punjab, we have about 4 or 5 of them. And then the issue is that while they are there, sometimes they're not transmitting the data. Sometimes the data is corrupted or something. So many people have installed, you can say, private sensors from IQ Air and Purple Air that are giving some data. But then again, the problem is that they are just measuring one particular aspect and not measuring the complete range of pollutants in the whole city. So this situation actually triggered that we should be doing something and doing something out of the box to make sure that we can address the issue of air quality in the country. And then once we have some lessons, we can extend it to our partners as well as other countries, kind of make it a kind of blueprint project so that other people or researchers can benefit from it. So this project was funded last year between all throughout 2021. And the goal was that while we can install many stationary air quality monitoring system, why don't we install these on vehicles? And when the vehicles move across the city, they will send out readings. And when they send out readings, we will get not only readings from one area, but multiple areas. And then we can use those readings to tell that, okay, which what is the situation of air depending on what the season is, what the traffic is, and other parameters. And of course, this will be supplemented by a whole portal which will provide the information about the air quality in a particular region. Now, our strawman idea was that we'll just take the city and divide the city into a grid kind of a map. And then we'll just, whenever the vehicles move, and if its latitude and longitude is in a certain box in this grid, then we'll color the whole box according to what the air quality is in that region. And we also mentioned the carbon monoxide and other kind of information in that particular box. Well, it turned out that that doesn't really work because city is not divided into a grid. City actually has different ways of measuring. So it has some locales, some kind of, in Pakistan, for example, we have union councils and a kind of a neighborhood. So there's a way, and they're not only one way, but there are multiple ways, depending on when you're looking at for tax purposes or looking at for land allocation purposes, and then looking at for in terms of traffic movement. So there are different kinds of regions you can divide the city into. So I'll tell you later that how did we do that. And then on top of that, we thought that not only that we will need these mobile sensors that are fitted on top of the vehicles, we'll also need a small network of stationary sensors, just so that we can somehow know that, okay, this city or this region, what is the air quality if we want to just use the traditional stationary sensor there, which also they have their own usefulness. And I'll tell you that what is the problem in mobile sensor that triggered us to have the stationary sensor network as well, running in parallel. So the data from all those stationary and mobile sensors is coming to a location of our National Center in Big Data and Cloud Computing. And from there, it is on our portal and then distributed to general public and also to the government for their decision making. Now, one thing that always created a problem in terms of air quality is that when we use low quality sensors, the supply chain is always a problem. So for example, you import some sensors from, let's say, Spain or Sweden or UK. So when the sensors come, that's fine. I mean, they are calibrated, they are available. But then when the calibration goes out and these sensors needs to be calibrated after every 6 months or after every year, otherwise the data is not you can say reliable data that we are going to get. So the challenge was that how do we actually make sure that these sensors, I mean, we can pay for the calibration of these sensors. And then first of all, to start with, how do we even install these sensors? Because this is something that is a specialized job. So fortunately, what we did was we partnered with a local IoT startup. And they then developed a customized sensor for us, which is going to be measuring about 6 air quality pollutants. It's going to be PM2.5, PM10. PM2.5 is the most important pollutant because that's something that's really harmful to the human health. But on top of that, we have ozone and then NOx and SOx, carbon monoxide. And then we also wanted to know that what's the temperature, what's the humidity, and what's the location of the sensor. Not only that, we also wanted to separate out our system from the vehicle. So we don't want to get any energy from the vehicle. So we wanted to have you can say a system that is self-sustainable or it can work on its own. So that's why we need to supplement it with a solar panel as well as a battery that can provide some energy in the times when the sun is not up. So these 3 things, the sensor box and the solar panel and the battery, this was all designed by our partners who have developed this IoT. And this really worked because the sensor, when there is a problem in the sensor, we can always call the company and they can help us ameliorate that problem. And for us, that is something, and then the company has now got the calibration expertise also. So once the sensors are not calibrated or when they need calibration after a year, the calibration process is also going to perform in the country rather than we have to export the sensors to somewhere. On top of that, we also developed a platform called airlens.com. So this platform is going to be giving the whole map of the city and going to be telling that in which area currently the air pollution is of what level, whether the air quality is 150 or 350 or whatever, and then followed by the different readings of different sensors. So this airlens.com, we completed this website, we launched it, but now we have another phase 2 of this project is running. Currently, this website is not working because we are porting from one platform to another. Previously, we were with Amazon, but now we are porting to another one because Amazon somehow was somehow a bit expensive for us. And then we are porting it to a local platform using some our own in-house tools. So we use the US EPA method of determining the air quality, which is the, I believe it's Aircast Now or something, some method. So we are using you can say a world standard method of determining that if you want to tell one number about air quality, what that number is. And this is the Aircast Now method that US EPA uses. Now, let me just go back to tell you that how did we divide the city into different zones. I'm not going to go into the details of the slide. There's too much, you can say the details here, but let me just tell you that we developed a new, you can say a way to develop our own zones in using Google Maps. And if you are interested, there is a whole video that we have developed, and I hope these slides are available on the web, or not, you can just copy this address, where we have demonstrated that if you want to divide the city into different regions in terms of spatiotemporal monitoring, how that division should take place. So when we did it, typically we have about 9 zones in the city and then 274 subzones. But we thought that 9 is too less and 274 is too large. So we wanted to come up with a number which is in between. So based on the high density residential area, based on the movements of traffic, we developed about 40 sub-regions of the city. And then we developed a way of how do we divide, what is the basis of dividing this into the city. It's of course, there are many reasons. Some of the reasons are not so, you can say, population or demographic dependent on whether we can find a volunteer in that area to have a stationary sensor, because we didn't want to depend on any, you can say, government site or something where we do not have any control. And volunteers typically come in handy because they provide us the information or they give us the space, and then they also take care of the sensor that we're going to be installing. Here come the challenge. So last November, when we were almost ready to deploy, there were some challenges that we started facing. And the challenges were the following, and then let me go one by one. The biggest challenge that we face is that there are 2 kinds of emissions. One is an ambient quality emission, which is that in general, if I just install a sensor at a location which is not exaggerated by some nearby smokes or something, then that is the ambient air quality, the typical air that everybody breathes in the air. But then on the road, the emissions are a bit higher because we are still using lots of fossil fuel vehicles. And sometimes these emissions can go up to 30% higher. So when we talk to the climate change experts or air quality experts, they said that what you are monitoring is not ambient air quality, but what you are monitoring is actually the road emissions that are coming, and that those numbers are higher or lower, depending on whether the traffic is in that area is high or not. The second challenge that we started facing was that we had this mobile sensors which we wanted to install on the vehicles, but then the problem is that the vehicles are themselves fossil fuel based. So the emissions from the vehicles then started to create the values are not really the ambient air or road. It's the road emission plus the vehicle zone emission. So it's the readings are not that accurate that we wanted to do. And then there is another challenge. So we had initial plans of installing it on public buses, but then the public buses have their own timings. Sometimes the timings are not there. I mean, at night, buses don't operate for a certain time. On holidays, they have a reduced schedule. So we cannot really give a real cover of the spatiotemporal monitoring if we were to install it on public vehicles. And finally, I think this is one of the key challenge for any, you can say, donor-related project. And that is how to sustain it beyond the life of the project. Because if we cannot do that, then it means that the project has a lifetime of maybe 6 months, a year after the end of the project, after the end of the funding, and then it just goes away. And especially when you're not involving government or you want to have sustain it yourself, this is something that really, we wanted to find a solution to this problem. And then finally, something else happened in last November that the government asked us that you cannot share the air quality data without an approval. So if you're sharing it privately, so we got this letter, kind of a letter that we can sue you if you share. So that was also something which was we had to work around that. But the good thing is that the regulator at least were receptive. We told them about our project and what its implications are, and then they thankfully got the approval of our project. But what they said on a condition, they said that what you need to do I'll just go to one slide. So while this this thing happened, what we did was that we said, okay, because the air quality monitoring on mobile vehicle is not working, so temporarily what we're doing, we are going to be installing it on some vehicles which are going to be not on vehicle but on stationary sites. So these are sensors, they have a life or calibration. So why don't we just install them on certain sites? So we then divided the city again through our zones and put about 8 or 9 sensors in different areas of the city for temporary installation, and also give us confidence on the sensors. But then when we got the approval from the government, they asked us to do another thing. They said that you can use these sensors for the information that you are supplying, but the problem is that you have to do a co-location activity. What a co-location activity is that you put your sensors with a reference grade system to see that how accurate they are or how different they are with the reference grade system. So thankfully, they not only gave us this approval, they also provided us with a mobile van, the reference grade mobile van. So you see the mobile van and me and my team lead, Huzaifa Qasmi, standing next to the mobile van. So the mobile van was with us for about 2 weeks. And then we just located our sensors. You can see it on the top left picture next to the reference grade system. So that gave us the data, and this activity just completed a couple of weeks ago. And now we are kind of correlating the data that how the sensors are in terms of the difference of reading from the reference grade system. Now, the good thing that happened was that we were also funded in the phase 2 of this project. And then we wanted to fix all the problems or challenges that we had in the earlier project. And now, as we speak, we have entered into the phase 2, and now I'm going to tell you is that what are the solutions that we found to solve the problems or challenges that we found earlier. So collection activity is done. We got the approval from the government to have the sensors and have the readings. But then we thought that rather than going on public buses, well, it was, you can say, a coincidence that I was involved in another project of electric three-wheelers with the government in another capacity. So that gave us an idea that rather than using public buses, we can use electric three-wheelers. They are cheaper and they are maybe more mobile. They can go to places where buses cannot. So not only that we will have a more control over the vehicle, but also we can get better readings. So in this particular part, we are, rather than buses, we will be using electric three-wheelers. And again, the three-wheelers are manufactured in the country by some companies that we know. And they have agreed to retrofit their vehicle or adapt this vehicle to a way in which we can put our sensor box inside the vehicle or outside the vehicle, wherever it is convenient. And this is how we solve the problem of emissions. So with the electric vehicle, at least we solve the problem of the emissions coming from the vehicle itself. Then the problem was that what about the road emissions? So we started working on another workaround, and that is that rather than measuring emissions on main roads, we measure emissions on neighborhood roads where typically the traffic is very, very low. I mean, typically maybe 90% lower than the typical traffic on a main road. So on the left-hand side, if you see, there is a bus route. So original plan was to have these bus routes, and then the sensor is going to be providing the readings as the buses go along. We shifted it to another way in which we said that, okay, rather than put it on buses, we'll put it on the last mile connectivity. So the government is starting another project of last mile connectivity along with the major feeder, major bus routes. And if you look over here, this is the same map of the same region. And if you look at this cross section of the bus, where on the left-hand side, and if you just map it onto the right-hand map, there the last mile connectivity starts. And in our last mile connectivity, what we said that, okay, this vehicle is going to go and stop at a certain location for maybe 5 seconds or something, and then move and then stop another location and do this circuit in an hour or so. So this gave us, you can say, the best of both worlds. So we are getting readings as the vehicle is moving. We are getting reading when the vehicle stops and act as a stationary sensor. And the third one is that we have the stationary sensor that are not moving and they're installed in a region. So we are getting, in fact, 3 kinds of data, and we can kind of use the data for different purposes. So that solved the problem of, you can say, the on-road emissions, that rather than taking emissions from on roads, which we are getting in anyway, we also will be getting it from neighborhood nodes and stop at maybe schools or maybe parks or other locations which are predetermined and get the reading from that. So Douglas, how much time do I have? Because I have a few slides. So
you've got about 6 minutes.
All right, so that's perfect. So I think I'll finish in that time. And then this, so again, this is something that is now at least going on. You can see some of the members of our team. Currently, we are looking at where to place the sensor. Is it on top is the best, on the sides is the best, inside is the best? So we are now experimenting with different locations, seeing that how the data is coming. The main thing is that we cannot install it at a location where there is some kind of a restricted airflow. So inside there is a restriction, but on top, on the side, the restriction of airflow is not going to be there. So most probably, currently as we speak, I think we have kind of decided on the back side of the vehicle, we'll put a kind of a cage where this box is, and we'll put the solar panel on top of the vehicle, and the battery will be inside. Not only that, we will, so we had the AirLens platform earlier that we developed, and now we are developing it into you can say, a comprehensive air quality platform. So not only the data will be coming from our own sensors, but the data will be coming from other privately owned sensors as well, and even publicly if they agree. And then we are providing with APIs. So if somebody develops a sensor and wanted to, let's say, put the data on our platform, that will be available as well. So now we have also kind of expanding our platform so that different kinds of data can come and different kinds of data can be added. Now comes the final problem, which is the sustainability of the project. And that is something that we have been seeing. I mean, I am at least working in the university for the past 16 years, and we see donor-led project comes in and goes, and then they just fall apart as soon as the funding dries up. So we wanted to find a model where at least in this particular project, we can find a way to sustain this project for the long term, so the project kind of pays for itself. I don't say I have a solution, but we have kind of a solution that we think we can try. And that is that these last mile vehicles, I mean, somebody is willing to donate them. So for the project, somebody is willing to donate, whether it's a donor agency or a company in the country using their CSR funds. So initially they said that, okay, there's no problem. But the problem is they said that we are not going to be paying for this vehicle for its operation and the calibration charges or calibration expenses for maybe 5 years or so. So what we are coming up is we are partnering with a last mile connectivity provider in the country. And we are saying that, okay, we'll provide you the vehicles, and the vehicles will run and they will earn a revenue. Part of that revenue, about 25% of the will be used to for the maintenance and upkeep of the sensors. And possibly if we can buy new sensors, if the saving is that much. So once this vehicle will start running, because they are last mile connectivity services, they will be generating revenue. And as part of that revenue, we don't know how much. We think 25% is a good amount that we can save from that running. And that amount will be used for the upkeep of the sensors, for the calibration costs that we incur after every year or so. I mean, earlier also, if the sensor chokes, I mean, there is no way you can have good reading. So that's another problem, is that these sensors are made for air that is a good quality air. And when they have smoke season, the sensor can choke after even 3 months. So you have to calibrate them and somehow even sometimes buy a new sensor. But since the platform is there, the sensor is, you can say, a smaller cost of the whole project. So this is now where the project is. And we hope that our first vehicle will be on road by the end of May, early June, I would say. And then we'll be running it all throughout the rest of the project duration to see that whether whatever we have thought of solving the problem, whether it solves the problem for us, and if we need to tweak other things, which I'm sure we'll do, but hopefully we'll find some of the solutions. So thank you very much for listening. Thank you, Douglas. And
fantastic. You finished perfectly on time also, so well done.
Thank you.
I just wanted to ask you one quick question, even though it's a little ahead of the question time. What's the percentage of the pollution that is coming from industry and that is coming from transport?
So there was a survey that, there was a, you can say, FWO, the Food and Agriculture Organization of UN actually conducted a study. And this is that 43% of the pollution is coming from the transport, about 20% coming from the power sector, from the generation plants using fossil fuels, another 20% from, I believe, industry, and the rest of it from agriculture and other sources. But the challenge is that agriculture, although its contribution is less, there is something of phenomena of crop burning that happens in November, both in India and Pakistan. And the crop burning, because it's concentrated in just a few weeks, the amount of pollution in that particular time is much more than the environment can sustain, and it cannot just dissipate away. So that's also another, I mean, on this project, but in another initiative, we are trying to measure that which kind of vehicle are polluting what. And there is a whole science of developing a strategy or knowledge of what kind of emissions are coming from vehicles, from different kinds of vehicles.
Okay, thank you. We will return to that in the panel session, but that was an interesting point. So again, thank you again. Very good. All right, so to our final speaker, and another interesting approach to research and technology intersecting again. Very pleased to welcome Eric Yen, who's a well-known face in the APAN world. Eric is a research scientist at Academia Sinica Grid Computing Center in Taiwan. And he's the PI on this Asian Soundscape project, which is a very interesting sounding project, both when in its name and its outcome. So Eric, over to you. Looking forward to hearing from you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Hello, everyone. Eric Yen from Academia Sinica Grid Computing Center. My talk today is about the Asian Soundscape project, funded by Asia Connect from February 2018 for about 2 years. As you can see, those names listed in this page are co-PIs of this project. From their affiliations, this is a cross-disciplinary collaborations covering biologists, data scientists, physicists, as well as infrastructure and platform providers. On behalf of this collaboration, it's our honor to present the work we did. And also we hope our work is helpful for the related future collaborations in Asia. Based on the vision of sustainability of the humanity and the earth, a careful monitoring on biodiversity and ecosystem health at large spatial-temporal scale is necessary to mitigate the impacts of the human-induced environmental changes, which is a very hot topics right now, including the climate change, and then to secure the earth systems. So monitoring on ecosystem dynamics across the large spatial-temporal scales is difficult because the limitation of the direct observation and the field sampling. A soundscape is the total sound composed of environmental, such as the wind, the rain, the thunder, everything. Biological, including the animal calls, songs, etc. And also anthropogenic sources in a location at a given period of time. So with analog to the remote sensing imagery, a passive acoustic sensing and monitoring can help document soundscape for study the changes of soundscape due to the natural processes and also the human activities. So that's the background of this project. So the objectives of the this collaboration is for capacity building, basically, to help our partners to making use of the soundscape network, the soundscape monitoring, and also the data analysis from those soundscape data to understand the ecological changes of anthropogenic and the environmental impacts, and also to facilitate the development of advanced applications on the data analysis and also soundscape related applications supported by the regional infrastructure. So we hope to build up a open science platform, which means everything we be done from the case study and also collected, including the data, the sense network, the technology, the tools, and also the knowledge could be shared and opened to all the partners. And the other important thing is about the capacity development by training and workshops, especially on the data collection and also data analysis. 6 events has been conducted in partner countries during the funded period. And we also like to conduct the case studies on 3 types of soundscape network we've been developed, including the terrestrial soundscape, the aquatic soundscape, and also the ultrasonic soundscape. And we also like to enhance the capacity of ecological and biodiversity monitoring by soundscape for both country level and also the Asia regional level. The last thing is about the plan and development beyond the funded period of time, so that the soundscape network and also the collaboration could be sustainable and could be extended to more user community and to more countries in Asia. The collaboration with the ASEAN Center of Biodiversity is very important for this collaboration, and which is a very important platform for the future development of this soundscape. And one extra thing is that actually the ACB and also the biologists through this collaboration also include the camera trap and also other ecological monitoring networks together. So that's also achievements through the collaborations. So the funding period by the Asia Connect is from February 2018 to December 2019, which means the project has been ended for more than 2 years. The leading partner is Academia Sinica in Taiwan. And during the 2 years' time, we have partners from Vietnam, Philippines, Thailand, Malaysia, and Taiwan. We also have experts supported from Japan and also Hong Kong. Yeah, and ASEAN Center for Biodiversity is also becomes a very important supporter and partners of this collaboration. Terrestrial soundscape network, aquatic soundscape network, and ultrasonic soundscape networks has been established and also extended to the partner countries. So including those data, we've been collected from, in Taiwan from 2014. So right now there are over 1 million data files from over 20 sensor sites in partner countries are available through the data repository from this project. And here you can find the URL for the data website, which is a data repository. So all the data there are shared by the CC BY 4 schemes, which means they are open to everyone. And if there's any comments or questions, please, you can contact me by email anytime. In this slide, that's the background of the passive acoustics-based biodiversity monitoring. And retrieving the source-specific information from geophony, biophony, and anthrophony remains a challenging task because of the interference by simultaneous sound sources. Once you turn on the recorder at a specific location, you will collect everything from the different spectrum. The audio sources separation is a technique that aims to recover individual sound source when only a mixture are accessible. So based on those acoustic fingerprints, we are able to explore and predict the habitat quality and biodiversity quantitatively across multiple scales, as well as automatically identify anomaly events from those spectrums. From 2014, as I mentioned, the soundscape sites were established in Taiwan, from marine to the mountain and even urban areas, supported by the Taiwan Forest Research Institute. Based on these experiences, Asia Soundscape Project was initiated together with Asia partners. And from 2018, around 15 sites were set up in 5 Southeast Asia countries. So in total, currently more than 1 million data files are available through the online data repository. So you can see from these slides from the map, the sensor sites and also the networks in the 3 types of soundscape. In the right corner, you can see a picture, probably a bit small. The picture of the sensor used for the terrestrial environment, and also the sensor we used for the aquatic soundscape set up under the sea. Before the end of the project months 3, by end of May 2018, we procured terrestrial and ultrasonic soundscape recorder and organized the 3 data collection workshop on the 3 types of soundscape networks in Vietnam for the terrestrial soundscape, in Philippines, in Cebu for the aquatic soundscape, and also the training workshop in Taiwan, also for the terrestrial soundscape. Both indoor courses and outdoor hands-on practices were conducted by the biologists, as the event's photo in the page. Soundscape data and the ability to gain insights from them are essential to understand the changes of ecosystem quantitatively. As I mentioned, according to the goal of this project, in addition to setting up sensor sites and establish the sensor network, the supporting platform covering data and metadata management, the information retrieval and data repository are all operational. Raw data sets are accessible through Pumilio system set up in Academia Sinica, which was developed by Purdue University. The lower right, the screen capture, that's the one of the applications from the Pumilio systems. You can compare the spectrum data from 2 sensor sites. For the metadata management, each data set is managed by the Depositar research data management systems, developed and operated by Institute of Information Science in Academia Sinica. As the upper left, the screen capture, and that's the recommended data components to be recorded in the metadata as the core components of the metadata. And the core components and their interactions are also depicted in the lower left figures. That's almost covering the whole data processing pipeline from the data collection, data repository, the tools, and also the metadata management. In general, the data workflow are also listed here as the upper right. For example, from the first step to create the metadata for monitoring projects and to upload the soundscape recordings in WAV format through FTP or other means, and to generate the graph, convert the file format, calculate the soundscape index, explore and query the soundscape data becomes available, and the annotate the soundscape extended functions, such as collecting basic meteorological data at the monitoring sites. So that's the basic SOP for the data collection. So for the data analysis, based on the big data collected by autonomous recorders deployed in terrestrial and also aquatic environment, investigation of the temporal pattern of soundscape can provide insight into characteristics of the primary acoustical events, and also correlations of the driving forces of the changes. So analysis of the acoustic signals patterns can also improve the deeper understanding of the phenological patterns, species diversity, and also the ecosystem integrity. Unsupervised classification of soundscape scenes and also events has been implemented in this project for the data analysis in the project. Several indexes and are potential to the feature identification and also data analysis, such as the measuring and modeling the change of diversity. For example, by the acoustic complexity index or by the power spectrum density, etc. Yeah. In the later slides, we have several use cases for those different type of soundscape. So this is one case about the terrestrial soundscape data analysis used for the comparison of the ecological situation and also the biodiversity status of different sites. Interpretation of biodiversity change based on the quantitative index is not an easy job. Typically, a 5-minute fragment is transformed into spectrum by Fourier transform. And then acoustic features are extracted based on the median and the mean. And then the unsupervised classification of soundscape scene analysis is implemented. In this case study, a comparison of biodiversity dynamics in 2 mountain sites in Taiwan. As identified in the map from the upper left corner, are carried out based on the spectral characteristics from soundscape data of a whole year, and the seasonal change of diversity, and also the variations of the diversity between the 2 sites could be identified. And comparison of soundscape events between sites could be also implemented in the same logic. And there are also Python-based long-term spectral data analysis are available for the analysis. For the use case of a ultrasonic soundscape network, our PIs are focusing on the response of bats to the extreme weather. And there are also some very good input and also advices from partners in Malaysia and Vietnam, mainly based on their experiences and the requirements from the national parks for the monitoring of the impacts of the extreme weather on bat diversity. And also
5 minutes, Eric, 5 minutes.
Okay, I will speed up. Yeah, and four sites are operational in Vietnam and Malaysia. This is the data analysis use cases by the aquatic soundscape for the coral reef soundscape case study to get a long duration spectrogram from the raw recording data sets in the first step. And then machine learning enabled data analysis such as the non-negative matrix factorization is adapted, applied on the medium-based long-term spectrum data to separate the biological colors from noises. So through this analysis, it's possible to identify the fish call and other sounds of marine animals. Of course, sometimes noise is also mixed. In summary, in terms of the analysis facility, the soundscape information retrieval toolbox has been developed and also provided for all the partners, such as the visualization of the long duration recording using the long-term spectrum, the non-negative matrix factorization method, measurement of bioacoustic diversity based on the clustering, etc. There you can also see the screenshots from those tools. The system architecture I like to mention is that by design, we encourage the partner to set up their local data repository. And through the data federation mechanism, a user could go access and also query any data from the web portal. So that's the basic ideas. And then for the moment, in the middle parts, including the data analysis, conversion, metadata services, safe storage are now provided by Academia and set up in Taiwan. And we are expecting that the ASTI is collaborating with ACB to set up another site in Philippines. So to build up the regional infrastructure for this long-term soundscape data analysis and also application environment. So the achievement is that 3 data analysis workshop and also 3 data collection workshop has been conducted as the baseline work for the capacity development. And the soundscape monitoring network has been extended to Asia partners. And the regional collaboration framework, including the distributed cloud framework and also making use of the APAN and other regional activity platform such as ASEAN Center for Biodiversity Center has been established. The soundscape network is operational beyond the Asia Connect. After the founding period, the network is still operational, and some of the co-PIs are still working on the analysis of the soundscape, collecting different data, integrate species data, for example, and also develop the data analysis mechanisms for the researchers using soundscape data. Yeah, so time. From this side, you can access to the materials from the events of these projects. And in April 2019, there is also a project, a symposium collocated in IGC 2019, and you can access all the material and check the activities there by the URL here. So this is the last slide as a summary and also the suggestions and also the future perspective. So the prototype of Asia Soundscape Network has been established for capacity development purposes at this stage. And the sensor network data collection procedure, data analysis methodology and tools, as well as use cases are provided. Collaboration of the domain scientists, research infrastructure provider, and also service provider are very essential. The open data repository, which are based on the FAIR principle, open tools and the application framework are also operational. So in the future, we hope more partners could join this collaboration to generate more momentum by more use cases and also more local user communities. And there are several types of possibilities for the collaboration. For example, to join the Soundscape network with SensorSight, to join development of the data analysis tools, algorithms, and also services, to coordinate or participate in a case study, to provide the use case using Soundscape data or your own data. And in terms of the ecosystem and also biodiversity monitoring, there are also several possibilities. For example, to explore dynamics of the soundscape, evaluate the biodiversity change based on biological sounds, etc. So one direction is that we hope to moving towards a open science platform of the soundscape in collaboration with Asia partners to build up and deploy open science paradigm for the soundscape related application, data sharing, and also researches. APAN and IGC are definitely the primary collaboration platform. The last slide is that we like to special thanks to great support from Asia Connect and also Academia Sinica, and also appreciate all the contributions from the scientific groups and also user communities of all partners from Malaysia, Philippines, Thailand, Vietnam, and also Taiwan, of course. The partners' logo are listed here. So that's the status of the Asia Soundscape projects. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you, Eric. That was a very wide-ranging and technically challenging project you've been involved in. So I've got a few questions that I will ask later on. So thank you for that. So the next session now is really the panel discussion and questions. So people can either send questions through to the chat. There's been 2 or 3 that have come through also, and some to me also. And possibly others may want to just ask questions. Francis, you may have a question. So I just wanted to start off going back to the very first presentation. I've got a couple of questions, first of all, for regarding the mangrove project. So I used to be a high school teacher, so I was very interested to see what you were doing with children. So I'm going to ask a question about that. Here in New Zealand, mangroves are something that people don't really like too much because, you know, you can't go swimming in mangroves and they're a little bit dirty and so on. So children, if you speak to them about mangroves, they don't understand really the critical role that mangroves play in the environment. So I saw that you were using TikTok, for example, to engage those young people, which I thought was a fantastic idea. And I think that's a good lesson for all scientists in terms of getting young people involved in science and research. So my question really was, so you had the idea to use TikTok. How successful was that in engaging those young children or those high school students in that project?
Okay. Actually, you know, this TikTok also, actually it comes with also competition for them with you know, small price, but very attractive price. Mm-hmm. And then in order for them to somehow get this all attractive prizes, they really have to somehow you know, show their efforts in understanding mangrove. That is why we come up with idea with TikTok and also some essay competition. So this is some with the hope that somehow this will entice all the students to somehow love mangrove. And we have also collaborators, actually one from Indonesia, who have this idea on having what we call puppets. So he basically share with the students, because before we ask the student to enter this competition, we invite speakers, okay, telling you know, the students about the beauty of the mangrove, and we have also one speakers who use puppets, you know, in a storytelling way. And we notice that also somehow that makes the student really appreciate, I mean, love mangrove in a way lah.
Are those puppets the traditional Indonesian puppets that you see?
Yes, indeed.
Like in the evening, you can go and see them, and they're playing with the.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
it's a very interesting combination of old and new.
Yes, indeed.
And
so the speaker the other day, he showed mangrove and also the biodiversity that associated with mangrove. So there is a mangrove puppet, the dugong puppet, the fishes, all the small fishes. And because we have been also observing the student who, because all of these are through webinars, okay? And we notice whenever we have all these puppets, all the students start smiling.
So, okay, so you got the children who are interested. And I think one of the things that's interesting about all of the projects today, or that we've heard, there is the science that's happening, and then there is the policy response. So we've already heard, obviously, the challenges in Pakistan, for example, with air pollution. In Malaysia, has this project had any interest from the policymakers in terms of seeing how valuable mangroves are? Has that been a something that you've been able to get in front of politicians or government agencies to try and improve things?
I'm sorry, Douglas, just now my internet somehow is unstable, so I didn't get the question. Can you just repeat again?
Sure. My question is, you've done the work with the students, you've done the research, and now you have to get the government agencies to introduce policies to improve things. And the same we'll see in Pakistan, obviously. It's a similar question. Have you had success in engaging the politicians as well as the students?
For the time being, not yet, but that is actually our main aim, to engage the politician.
Francis, I think you've had some issues also. I mean, obviously in Singapore, you've got mangroves, I'm sure. What's the situation in a small island state like Singapore?
In actual fact, the Singapore government is actually very actively planting and trying to grow bigger areas of mangrove swamps, because they protect the seashores. They break the waves, on top of all the other positive things, because we are losing a lot of our seashores to the waves. They're breaking it. And rather than building a sea wall, I think the mangrove swamp, the mangroves are amazing on top of helping to break the waves. It has all the other positive of the carbon storage, the air. So I think it's amazing, and I really have to congratulate you, National. You and your team have been amazing in engaging with other groups, and how you have done the communications, not only just here's my website, but you've chosen other channels as well that are more penetrative to the younger generations. So I really have to congratulate you. It's amazing. It's not only that we have to do good projects, but also how do we promote that? I think to influence the government, you have to gather sufficient data. You must to drive the policies, and it takes a lot longer. It is a more uphill task. Yeah, but congratulations, amazing. Yeah.
Yes, yes.
So
that is actually our problem when running this project, because when we wanted to start, suddenly we are basically, inflicted with this COVID pandemic. So the only way to move forward is through webinar, talks, etc. But actually, our team, we have what we call as mangrove quality index, where we can basically measure whether the mangrove in an area, whether it's having a quality in terms of whether it's excellent, degrees that we can measure, and our researchers have proven to be measuring. So it's our plan to basically measure this when this actually, and now we are not restricted anymore with the movement, but we really need fun lah.
very good, thank you. So I'll return to your project in a moment. Was there anybody else who had a particular question? I think we had one question about your IoT network. So Lewis, I'll just ask this one question and I'll come back to you if I could. So both in Pakistan and in Malaysia, this question is for both of you. Your IoT networks, what network were they connecting to? Presumably, were they connecting to your research network at a national level, or were they really just connecting to some other local ISP? And what was happening to that data? Maybe Dr. Iksan, if you could just answer that one first, possibly.
Okay. Actually, the best one to answer this is my team from the IoT people. They are the engineers there. But from what I know is we are still now using the commercial network because we still haven't get the chance to connect with our MyRAN network. But we are still working on that, because that is the main aim of this API Connect.
Thank you. And Dr. Arshad?
Yes, so we wanted to have maybe a connectivity with our PERN network directly, but there's a challenge that on 4G or wireless connectivity, any form of wireless connectivity, there is some kind of a security issues. There's a restricted access, so you can only get it through the mobile service providers. So there are about 4 or 5 of them in Pakistan. So we got their dongles that were installed in the sensor box that I told you. Once the data is transmitted to our network, then it is on the PERN network that we have.
Yeah. And Eric, you said you've got 1 million files, I think it was. That's maybe small files, but if you have 1 million of anything, it becomes very large. Has that been a similar situation with the data that you were collecting in Taiwan?
Yeah, in fact, there are many challenges and also issues in terms of the data. One example is that for the terrestrial soundscape, not the ultrasonic soundscape, we recorded about, let me check, sorry, 5 minutes for every 30 minutes. That's the typical scenario. So we collect every file that's about 50 megabytes under such scenarios. So that's why a lot of data has been collected. So that's why the metadata is so important, so that the users could understand how the data was collected at what locations, including the longitude and latitude, and also meteorological situations of the sensor site, etc. That's all. Not mentioning about the data quality issues. For example, if you check the Pumelia website in Taiwan for this project, you can see some of the year, the date of the data is not logical, is not corrected. So that's also why. And the other issue is about the protection of the sensor, as some participants just asked. Honestly, there are no perfect solutions right now under acceptable cost. So the sensor site operation is quite costly and very important. And for the aquatic soundscape network, that's another issue. Yeah.
Yes, I see one of the question that was asked that Eric was referring to was about the security of the sensors themselves.
Yeah.
So again, I was interested to, if the panelists could just, have you had a problem with theft in Malaysia or in Pakistan or in Taiwan? Has that been an issue for you in this project? Or
that's an issue. Yeah, that's an issue, but that's not happened in our project.
Right.
Yeah, in Taiwan, that's fine. They are set up in the under investigation. That's in the national park or the in the forest area under protection. So that's all right. Good. But once you have to deploy it broadly in different situations, I think that has to be taken into account.
Mm-hmm. What about in Pakistan or Malaysia? Has that been an issue in either of those countries at all, or not really?
I think it is an issue, but apparently it doesn't happen in our project too.
That's good. And Dr. Arshad, has that been an issue yet in Pakistan, or has that not really come to that yet?
So I missed the issue. What's the challenge there?
Well, the sensors that you've been using. So you've been deploying the sensors. Have you had any problems with theft of them from,
yeah, so that's an ongoing challenge. The good thing is that when we have the three-wheelers under our control, then hopefully there will be a person that will be in the vehicle and the sensors are going to be hopefully protected.
Lewis, I think you had a question earlier. Is that correct?
Oh yeah, thank you, Douglas. So just I have a comment, so additional comment for Professor Natra. So first of all, thank you for your presentation. It's very interesting and very important content in Asia Connect project. So for more understanding information for our core participants, so why mangrove is very important issue. So just I wanted to deliver some more information. So mangrove is a very important plant in biological sector, and so just for the make the prevention of coastal erosion. So just the land is as very low and lower is very important issue in the Southeast Asia and Thailand and Philippines and some Indonesia. So many nations. And so just already you mentioned, there's already Francis mentioned, there's a carbon storage capacity is very important. I think that according to the UN report, and so we have to join the world as a carbon neutral activities and strategy in the world. It's many nations is related to economic development strategies. And so just a mangrove plant is just a key factor to activity for researching. And so just we already know that many fishes and turtle and many species on the sea It's just that they want to live on the mangrove forest. It's just a mangrove, just located in just a beautiful coastal landscape is very important. Just in the carbon issue and many fishes and ocean life is very needed to for living from mangrove forest. And then just Professor Natra's team is a very important and meaningful issue, just protecting mangrove forests and just via our high technological IT information, just the sensor network, IoT, is a very sensitive and smart technology to using for the activity in the future. And so in Asia Connect project, just we want to find some more fantastic issue like this, just air pollution protection is, and so just the soundscape is only the whole very important content too. And so in the furthermore, Asia Connect, we can more support to finding some new issue and new content in the forever. And so our whole participant and our whole research from Asia Connect project, just don't hesitate to find some new issue and new content to provide. And just Ten-Star-CC, we can fully support for your convenience and for your activity forever too. Just a comment. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for those comments. Yeah. Dr. Arshad, there was another question that I was interested in that you referred to at the end, which, so here in New Zealand, like many countries, we're looking at introducing electric vehicles. And there's to try and get rid of fossil fuels. And I know that that's happening in most countries. And I was reading recently that in the Philippines, they're trying to get rid of their old diesel-powered jeepneys, the jeepneys that they have in the Philippines for public transport, because they are a high percentage of pollution. I asked the question about industry versus public transport. And I'm imagining that most public transport in Pakistan is diesel powered. Is that a correct statement by me?
That's true.
Right. So, but it was, so here in New Zealand, a very high percentage of our electric power generation comes from renewable resources, primarily hydroelectric power. So that's where about 85% of New Zealand's power comes from. But in a country such as Pakistan, I know you have some a range of power production. What's the challenge in a country like Pakistan where you are trying to move from fossil fuels to electric, even with those electric three-wheelers, but the power that's being generated is coming from, I think, maybe traditional fossil fuel powered power generation? How do you kind of get around that particular problem?
So that's a very interesting question, and I have two-part answer. The first thing is that I think there's a clarification that I would like to make, is that if I have a vehicle of any kind that runs on any kind of fossil fuel, and I have an equivalent vehicle of, let's say, an electrical vehicle, the efficiency of electric vehicle is much more. So if the fossil fuel vehicle gives me efficiency of 20-25%, the electric vehicle's motor's efficiency is about 90% plus. So the energy efficiency is enough to just justify a case of shifting to electric vehicles. Now, next comes is that the whole electric power mix, what's that mix? So currently in Pakistan, we have a 40% of power that's coming from renewable sources and 60% from fossil fuels. But by 2030, we hope that this ratio will reverse. So 60% will come from renewables and 40% will come from fossil fuels. On top of that, I think for the vehicles that we have been studying, like with swappable batteries and swapping stations, they can directly connect to solar powered, let's say, generation, and they can be just as good as it can get in terms of in cleaning the complete environment, not just the environment in the cities. Yeah.
And the renewable power that you have got in Pakistan, just out of interest, is that from hydroelectric power? Or?
So 33% of the 40% is from hydro, and then rest is covered by nuclear. I mean, there's a question whether you cover nuclear in renewable or not. And bagasse, which is, you can say, bio-waste, and then wind and solar. So primarily it's hydro, followed by nuclear, and then, but the number of wind power is increasing gradually, and we hope to see a lot of wind power coming in the next 10 years.
Yes, in New Zealand, we have a lot of hydroelectric power, but of course that's good when there's guaranteed rainfall. And we've had a period sometimes where there's been 3 or 4 years where the rainfall has dropped, you know, due to climatic variation. And so then people get a bit nervous, you know, that the lake levels are falling. We've seen this in the Western United States at the moment with the Hoover Dam. You've probably seen the Hoover Dam is at, I think it has historic low levels.
So our hydropower is not coming from rain mostly. It's coming from glacial melt. So, yes. So it depends on, so it's the same phenomena, but if we have a good snowfall in the winters, we'll have a good water flow in our dams.
Yes. So the concept is similar.
Yes.
Eric, I had a question for you. Your sort of soundscape idea is sort of very interesting, especially with the aquatic and the terrestrial and so on. And you're spending a lot of time in forested areas or mountainous areas. I was interested to know whether there are other countries or regions in the world where they are doing similar types of projects. So if I think of, you know, the Amazon jungle, for example, where you have, you know, very interesting sort of biodiversity, or other regions of the world, the idea that you have used in Taiwan, are there any other examples you know of that are happening in other locations?
Yeah, in both in States and United States and also in Europe, they have soundscape projects. As I mentioned, the tools, the data repository we used, that's developed by Purdue University.
Yes.
The professor there, they are keep going on the soundscape project and also improve the data repository, data management systems. In Europe, I know they also collected lots of soundscape data, but we didn't have a very good communication with them yet.
And so if you look at, say, Europe and the USA and then Southeast Asia, what is the long-term policy aim of those projects? I mean, obviously you're gathering a lot of data, and in Pakistan, Naveed is gathering data to reduce pollution. And in Malaysia, Dr. Iksan is gathering data to improve biodiversity in mangroves. What's the policy outcome for projects such as yours? Is there a specific policy outcome that you are trying to achieve with a project such as yours or the ones in the UK or the USA?
We started from the academic problem first.
Yes.
As you can see that the domain scientist is a very important pillar in these collaborations. So we are supporting to resolve the problem they identified. Right now, they are focusing on, for example, the activities of the bats, or the changes of the environment to the marine animals, etc. So they are identifying some kind of problem they like to solve. That's the starting point. But all the data we collected will be open. So we hope more different domain scientists could make use of the data for other problems in the future. Right now we have collaboration with the Purdue University, the team there. So try to see if there are any more collaborations, not just the data repository system, but also the applications together with them. And in the future, we will contact the team in Europe as well. So we also hope that in the future, maybe in the Amazon areas, there are also several universities there.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, for their environmental protection or ecosystem monitoring issues together.
All right. Well, thank you for that. That's a good note to finish on in terms of international collaboration. So that really brings us to the end of the panel session. I'd like to thank all of the speakers today, this evening, or this afternoon, or the morning, wherever you are in the world. Here in New Zealand, it's 8 at night. Thank you for your very wide-ranging and interesting presentations. I've been getting lots of feedback into my personal chat about the quality of the presentations, and so I would like to thank you all. And now I'd just like to hand over to Unjin to wrap it up. And from me, I'd like to wish you all a very good day, and thank you very much. Unjin.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Douglas Hare. And also thank you very much to Professor Natra Ishan, Professor Navid Ashad, and Dr. Eric Yan. The solutions for global issues start from monitoring, collecting data, and analysis. Today's program demonstrated how we work together for our environment. On behalf of TensorSC and our community, I give our sincere thanks to all speakers today and also your teams as well. I have a short announcement. TensorSC will continue this webinar series with the different topics every 3 months. The next webinar is planned in July with the topic of medicine. The details will be announced via Facebook page and website. Also, this webinar recording will be available on the Asia Connect YouTube channel. So please follow Asia web channels as well. We are looking forward to seeing you all again and see you at the next webinar in July. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very
much.
Thank you so much.
Good night. Bye.
Thank you.